This is an Xbox Series X, a bit of a cumbersome thing to have on my desk. And I got this to replace my personal one since my personal one most likely has VRAM issues or there's something wrong with the GPU. This feller was manufactured in 2024, so hopefully that will mean that whatever plagued the first releases of, I guess I can't even say plagued because I think I'm the only case that I'm aware of, so I might just be super unlucky. And aside from this console potentially being okay, it also has a bummed up HDMI port. So what I need to do is first pick out those pins. They're just kind of folded over. I just want to pick them out so they don't short on anything. What I can do is try feeding it in HDMI and see if I get something. I doubt I'll get anything with like 3 pins missing. But the intention to do is I want to first test this to the best of my ability, and thankfully for this generation of Xboxes, all of the controllers, even this older Xbox One controller, has a 3.5mm jack. And what that does is that pipes all of the console sounds directly through the controller. So what I can do is plug in some headphones and try and see if I can navigate through the UI. That can do things like, confirming that the controller syncs to it, that's a good thing. If I can navigate through the menu, hear menu sounds, that's a very good sign. If I can put in a disc and even start something, like start a disc, that tells me that basically the entire console is fine other than the HDMI port. This console has been unopened, and I do have the potential to return it, so I don't want to molest it more than I need to. And if I confirm that it's okay without I don't have a doubt that it is working, I'll then look into stripping it all the way down. This will be the first time I've taken apart one of these. I want to get it cleaned. I see the cooling fins have a good bit of dust packed in them. That's not really going to be the best way to show it, but... And since this is a new to me console, I just want to give it a washing, really. Hot soapy water, get off all this, stickiness right there, just things like that, just so it's fresh and new to me. I can check the thermal paste, maybe probably even just replace it. Brand new paste, check all the pads, just sort of give it a visual, and just get it ready for use. I have a few games I plan to play on it, so I'm very excited. So what I need to do first is I need to turn it on and sync a controller to it. So I'm gonna get I have a 7 amp, 125 volt power cable, which is more than enough. And I currently don't have HDMI replacement yet. It's in the mail. Should be here probably in a few days. Okay. And I'm just going to plug in the HDMI port, just for shits and giggles. Worst thing that happens is nothing. Swap over to my input. I'm going to guarantee nothing will happen, but... stand it up. And power it on. I just heard drive noises. Okay, the front light's on. Oh. My monitor did flash, so it is trying to push a signal, but it is missing pins. So I don't think it's going to get a real stable connection. Or it could be missing some data lines that are going to be very important. I'm not getting any system sounds. I don't know if that's normal. But let me try and get a controller synced to it. It should be... Okay, it has a controller synced. I'm gonna unplug the HDMI. And now I'm gonna kind of do this weird little song and dance here. This is gonna be very strange, but this is sort of the best thing I've devised. I'm gonna plug in my Xbox. Power it on. That will be coming up in the capture card. I'm going to be kind of censoring it because it's going to show my information. But what I want to do is basically follow my movements. So that's me on the menu. Keep my poor camera from just auto-focusing. So this is what I see on my Xbox. That's this controller right here. And I should be on a similar dashboard for this Xbox. What I want to do is just navigate through the menus at the same time to see if the noises line up. Should have a set of earbuds nearby. I'll use these. I vaguely remember what the series, like what the main dashboard sounds like. I mean, it will sound very familiar. Like going into the homes, that sidebar menu will be very familiar. But I'm hoping this works, because I think it will. And this will be a good confirmation that it works. As for the game I'll try, games pretty much always have to be installed at some point. I have State of Decay 1, the Game of the Year edition. Year 1 Survival Edition, I should say. That installs very quickly. Okay, I should be up there. Okay, it sounds good. I'm hearing menu noises that I expect, so let me put in a disk. I should hear it pop up. Disk drive sounds good. Yep, I heard the notification. Now, this installs quick. I know this game is not that big. I'm going to give it some time. Like, maybe I might just let it sit for like 10-20 minutes just to see. Give it plenty of time to install, just so I'm not trying to trigger it. And I actually might keep an ear on it. It should hear a ping. Now, the Year 1 Survival Edition, whatever it was called, has like 3 pieces of DLC that download alongside with it. So there'll be the main game and then the pieces of DLC. I don't know exactly how long those will take, but I know they are not that big. So I'll keep an ear on it and just see if I hear anything. So, funny. I had a hard time navigating. I knew I got State of Decay installed. It's very small. So I went to try and boot it, and I kept hearing Windows pop up. I'm like, Windows? Like, what could possibly be popping up? It should be starting the game. On the Xbox, if you hold the main power button... Oh, let me do that again. There's an option to turn on the narrator. Of all of the wacky-ass accessibility features that I would never use, the narrator has come in clutch. I turned that on this Xbox and just began poking around. Like, okay, where exactly would this disc copy of State of Decay appear? So I'm navigating through the menu, navigating these like all of the recent applications. I guess I should be pointing like right over here. All of the recent applications that appear. I went and then I opened up the home menu and started navigating it down, looking for State of Decay. I finally hit it. The narrator says State of Decay, Year 1 Survival Edition, whatever the hell it's called. I go to boot it. Parental controls are on. Whoever owned this Xbox had parental controls applied to their account, so the dialogue windows that were popping up were saying, hey, this is way above the user's like content, like what they're allowed to actually play. So, I mean, if that doesn't really tell me that this Xbox is fine, I really don't know what would, but the only rated E games that I have are like sports games, I think. I need to think. I do have Ori and the Blind Forest. That might be kind of small. Those Madden games are very big. So I do have Ori and the Blind Forest. Amazing game, by the way. Bought it at GameStop apparently the last time I was there. So let me install this game instead. And I'll unlike State of Decay, I'll know the menu music to this game. I need to really replay these games. I don't have Will of the Wisps. I might have to purchase it. I don't remember how big this game is. I might have to look that up. But this is an older Xbox One game, so it should be fairly small. So I'm going to listen to see if the... Yep. Narrator is telling me that it is... It did, in fact, or it read the notification basically saying Ori and the Blind Forest is installing. Good on Microsoft for putting in the narrator. Like, that has become very useful. So I'm just gonna let that install and wait until it's done. Oh, it's 9 gigs. I should go pretty quickly if it's just pulling it off the disk. Okay, Ori and the Blind Forest, I just heard it, or the narrator saying that it's ready to start. So I'm gonna see if I can find it now. Here it is. Oh, it's only 4 gigs in. Okay. Let me see if I can start it. Okay, I'll let this sit. I thought it was ready. Ooh, okay. I think I'm actually... This feels familiar. I'm playing the intro of Ori, it sounds like. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get good thermals out of a game I can't play. Oh, the music in this game is great. And I mean that kind of tells me everything I need to know. There is nothing wrong with this Xbox. Okay, so let me turn it off. And it looks like it's responding to that turn off signal. Perfect. I am very happy. So now I get the unfortunate pleasure of taking this thing apart. I was kind of looking through an iFixit guide as well, it looks cumbersome. There's a lot of different... It's cumbersome. I guess that's really where I can stop. Since I don't have the HDMI port, all I want to do is get the plastic housings out, get to the heat sinks, get to the fan, so I can just wipe everything off really good. And then when I get to when I get the HDMI port in the mail, I'll actually go ahead and do that. I do kind of want to look at the HDMI port. I do have a Series S HDMI port, which I know doesn't fit, but I was somewhat curious to see if I could almost like slot it in as like a temporary replacement, or if I'm just not able to do that. Okay, so the first step is taking off these two stickers, which I don't know. So I'm going to do something a little unorthodox. I am going to try and save this screw cover the best I can. I don't know how thoroughly stuck down this is. I just put down some rubbing alcohol, so if there is adhesive, it should soften it up. But for one, I've already yielded to the fact that even though this is a 2024 console, the fact that it has a broken HDMI port pretty much takes it off the list of consideration for warranty repair. My understanding is a broken HDMI port. Oh, I left Ori and I didn't take that out. I'll have to do that really quick. My understanding is a broken HDMI port is considered like customer damage, and unless they bought extended warranty, I'm somewhat doubtful. I might want to run... I'm going to see if I can run the serial number and see if that actually pops up anything. Probably not, but I mean, it's worth a shot. Ah, well, it was worth a shot. Warranty expired on the 25th of December. So, end of the year last year. Oh. So, I mean, it was worth looking. I've been seeing if there's just like any other information. Nah, it's just saying Xbox device coverage. Just had the standard 1-year warranty. Okay. And like I said, I don't think it would cover HDMI because that is considered like user damage. So something unorthodox. Let me get Ori and the Blind Forest out first so I don't forget it in the disk drive. I don't think I'm going to open up the disk drive. I don't know if I want to go that crazy, but... There we go. Now, the unorthodox thing is every guide I've seen peels the sticker back. I can tell you pretty much every time I've done something like that, it never sticks down good. I'm just going to cut the hole right here for the screw. Not only will the sticker look better, I know it will have a hole in it. I don't really care. It's about right here. And I can sort of cross-reference this with an image on iFixit. It's about right there. Because I'm not going to fool anybody in thinking like, yeah, I've never opened this thing. Assuming this thing doesn't have DRAM issues, there's no reason for me to sell it, and I mean, I would want to open it to clean it anyway. Okay, these are both T8 Torx bits. My T8, no, my T10 is currently in slotted. T8, here it is. we are. Pokes out like a flower. Hmm, it's a little feller. I was thinking it was like a stud. They're 7.4 millimeters. Wow. Okay, I'm so used to just big gnarly studs from Xbox 360s and Xbox Ones. So they're both the same screw. Let me get my pill container. Put those in the purple Saturday. And you gotta kind of run the, like, is that objectively more foul of a blemish than it would be to try and unstick this and restick it on only for it to sort of peel on the edges or have wrinkles in it. I like it when the sticker is fine. I don't mind if there's a hole cut in it. That's what I usually do on all of my controllers that I service. I will just punch a hole where the screw is so I can just access it and keep the sticker intact, because the transfer or removing it it never looks good putting it back on unless you're damn good at it, which I am not. Now this should just pop off with a spudger. Oh, yeah, it does. Kinda. Okay, it really seems like it's not being held in very hard, which is very good. I like it when there's not just these gnarly clips holding everything in. This is still a fairly new console, so all these clips should be fairly good shape. I mean, iFixit just literally just like rips it up from this side. I don't know if I want to go that bold quite yet, but okay. Yeah, ugh. All that white stuff's dust. That's metal and this is foam. Okay, I might not want to plunge all of this into soapy water like I was intending. I'm just going to have to hand clean a lot of this stuff, I guess. I don't want to put that in water. I get a little gun shy when I put foam and metal under hot soapy water. Now here's the part that kind of scares me. There's just this big sandwich. This is why an iFixit guide is here. Hopefully they do not lead me astray. Okay, there are two. They're still Torx 8. These two screws right here, and then this wee little feller. That is not a Torx 8, I can tell you. Oh, it is a Torx 8. Okay. It looks a lot smaller, but maybe because I'm used to Torx 10s. Holy moly, that guy is in there. Look at this gnarly thing. That was a fat-headed screw. I'm going to put all of these into Friday. What the? This is not important, but I realize that this pill counter is backwards, but then it's forwards. Not important, but I didn't notice that before. I've used this pill container a lot. Okay. iFixit are saying these screws are the same. I just want to verify that because you never know with iFixit sometimes. Okay, it looks fine. A lot of material is cutting off, so I'm guessing they cut those. Those must be into plastic. There's the connector right here, which I never liked removing these connectors. You're supposed to do them with a pair of tweezers, but the tweezers I always use tend to just kind of fail on me and just sort of cripple the end of the connector a little bit. Or it like mushes it in. It's like, all right. Use my tweezers and push up on the wings. All right, there we go. That works. Do I need to unroute it? Hold up, the fan just slides out? Oh, this is the fan connector. Whoa, whoa, look at that. It does just slide out. Look at that. I'll be hand cleaning that as well. Just a little crunchy. Okay, that was cool. I really wish they would have, like, cut an access point right here. Like, it would almost be similar to the PS5, how easy it is to get to the fan. They could cut a point right here, have this connector, maybe the sandwich be a little more hidden, unplug it, maybe there's the 3-screw array across, unplug it, yank it out. That would be so easy to clean the fan. And what does Microsoft lose? They lose this little bit of plastic, basically, right here, which is behind the console so you don't see it. But to be able to service the fan like that, to clean it, or even replace it if it's getting bad, because this is directly below just open vents, just shit will fall into it if you have the console upright, or maybe something got spilt on it, maybe a little, and you're like, ah, shit, I need to get to the fan somehow. Anyway, I'm deeply impressed. So there's supposed to be... Okay, so the next step is taking off... Oh, I see it. There's like a tab right here inside. Now, I don't know why I need to, like, lift it up. Is it like a locking tab or something? Or is it just sort of keeping pressure on it? So, grip... Use a flat edge spudger to lift up on the locking tab, holding the base of the shell. It is a locking tab. Is it further in? Is it this guy right here? I think it might be. Okay, it is. So it's not this little piece. There's like another piece down here, a little further down, that I think I just have to like hold open, essentially. You may need to hold the locking tab open in order to get it started. Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. There it goes. Okay. So there's that. It's going to be very hard to see just based on... There's that little like recess down there. It's just basically, I'm guessing it's just a flat piece with like a hook on the bottom, and it's just sort of smacked down onto that base, and I have to use the spudger to lift it up so I can to loosen it up. Now this I can send through the wash. Well, not send through the wash, so to speak. There's like weird adhesive on it that I might have to get off with rubbing alcohol first, but just dust and shit will be nice to get off. Okay, and I know there's screws down in here. Two black, 3 green. I don't really see a reason why I can't undo all of them right now. Okay. So I am going to undo all of them right now. This is kind of counter. No, I should probably follow the guide so I have my reference. So for Thursday, they want me to remove this specific T8 screw. That would be the one on the right-hand side, relatively speaking, or furthest away from me. And then one up here. It just seems a little strange. But okay, I think I kind of know what they're doing here. So these are both 8.8 millimeters. They look the same. This piece should come free. Vibration isolator grips the side of the optical drive with silicone pads, so you may need to walk the isolator off the drive to slip it off each side. During reassembly, ensure vibration isolator is pressed down around both edges of the optical drive so it sits flush with the rest of the center chassis. Okay, I see. I see what they mean. Oh, so the optical drive sort of centers in these like little fins. They're like plastic or silicone. Interesting. Yeah, there's the optical drive. I think it's even loose. I might even be able to just take it out right now, yeah? Yep, disconnect SATA and the power. Find it a bit concerning I haven't unplugged the power supply, but I guess it doesn't really matter because there's no power running to it. Okay. Now, I usually just take these things out with, yank them out on the cables, but because I really don't like using my pliers on these types of connectors. I feel like lifting it by the cable ends is actually better for it than me trying to just mangle it apart with my pliers. SATA connector is a little easier to lever off. I may just look at this disk drive. It'd be kind of neat to look inside of it. I also want to wipe off, or just sort of, I might just air gun it out. Because that is a point of entry. So far, this thing is truly fascinating how it was put together. What a feat. Okay, ribbon cable time. So there's a tab I push up. I have it up. Oh, well, this grippy piece, the piece that I'm supposed to pull on, just sort of fell off. I'm guessing it's going to be sort of... Okay, it's kind of, it's stuck down a little. I'm going to grab some rubbing alcohol to help loosen this up. There we go. So I can sort of pull it up from the bottom. Perfect. There's another ribbon cable. Does it operate on the same end? Use the pointed end of a spudger to depress the metal tab. So this is like a push. Okay. Yeah. These ribbon cables kind of scared me. Because they're very easy to mess up. And I mean, if I've learned anything from working on new 3DSs and new 2DSs, assuming a connector is one way, only to find that you freaking break the connector in half. Those stupid friction fit connectors that you don't expect to be friction fit. I learned that lesson pretty quickly. Okay, now I remove the green screws. So what is the black screw for? I don't know. I might have to kind of wing it once I get the sandwich out, because I'm not going to do too much with the sandwich until I get my HDMI cable, or port. Yeah, and the port is definitely different. So removing the 3 green screws from the bottom. There's only 1 black screw left on the bottom. I don't know exactly what it's for. Those are going into Wednesday. Gently peel back the USB ribbon cable, so that's this right here. There's just the Kapton tape holding that on. And I think the sandwich comes out now. Oh, okay. There's pins holding it down. There's like guide pins. So I have to kind of lift it. Whoa. Right on. I'm trying to decide how I need to take this apart. One thing at a time here. Alright, here's the metal sandwich, and yeah, there's all that dust I was saying, which actually isn't that bad. So yeah, this will be left as is until I get my HDMI ports, because that is still mangled. But I can at least dust this off. So for now, I'm just gonna find a place for this sandwich. Oh god, I don't know where to put it. I'll go put it on the carpet over there. What I might do is just hand clean all this. I don't want to take this all out. So there's just a lot of dust in here. I just have to go in and just air gun it all out. And then I'll probably just hand clean the top and the sides just good. Probably a damp rag. I noticed that I don't know if this is like something stuck on the front. Oh, maybe there is something stuck on the front. It almost looked like the top layer was kind of peeling off. Kind of like what I saw on a here, I have a Series 2 Pro controller. Like, the finish or something is, like, flaking off. I was kind of thinking that's kind of the same way, but doesn't look like it, so. Righteous. This thing is neat. That fan, pulling out that fan, that definitely was a surprise. Well, okay, I guess I'll get this all cleaned up and wait for a HDMI port to come. Hopefully sooner than later. Got my HDMI ports in, so now I can actually do the HDMI port. I was trying to see if I could get rid of some of this, like, residue that's on these fins, but I don't think I can. I don't know if it almost kind of looks like a hard water, but it doesn't seem to want to come off, so I mean, it might just be how it is. Maybe whatever deposited off the dust that was in this, like maybe this was like a weed smoker house or something, and whatever dust got into these fins were just like a oily type. I can't really say. It's not really coming off that well. I don't really want to stress out these fins too much. There's not any packed in dust, so I'm not too worried about it. The next goal will be to, I mean, try and figure out how this thing comes apart. It is a bit. I've been looking at the instructions, reading them a few times, and they're complicated. There's a lot of screws kind of everywhere, all around this sort of 3D shape. And then there's the strap. But I got an iFixit guide nearby. Okay. So there's the strap. There's the cable for the... This reminds me a lot of the Xbox Series S. I'm going to start using the blue side of my pill counter to track the sort of the innards. So there should be, there's two different screw types. There's the two 13mm and a 33mm. Jesus. These are all T8. Okay. The odd one out is this one to the right. Yeah, I had to spot a thread locker on it. Yeah, just a spot. Ooh, can't really fit the 13mm in there. Oh, there you go. I do it sideways, it'll go in. Okay. Then I should be able to undo this piece. This piece is like a door. I mean, the iFixit guy just manhandles it. I feel like there should be a little more of an elegant way to do that. I might just have to make a very uncomfy pop. Kind of feeling like what it's gonna be. I think I'm grabbing it. Let me see how these clipped in. Oh, I got it started. One more. There it goes. Okay. Yeah, I see. So they kind of hook around this bar piece right here. And then I should just be able to lift it all out. The power supply itself is still being held down by a few screws. A little spot of dust. So unroute it, and now it's going to be taking out the power supply. Are they all 8mm screws? No, they're not. They sort of do one screw near the power supply right over here, and then they do this front panel looking thing. Is it an 8mm? I'm just gonna follow the guide so I know how to put it back together. Also, the screws over here are silver. Then they do the... Oh, this plate comes with it. Oh, yeah, look at that. I'll just kind of keep the plate with that. That'll be an easy way to identify those screws. And there's 8 more Torx 8 screws for this front panel. Or this little PCB. It's not a front panel. And then it should just unplug because this one looks very familiar to the Series S one. Oh, they call it the accessory antenna board for the center chassis. That sounds better. There we go. Place that over there. Oh boy. Okay, now we got a shit ton of different screws all around here. Let me orient it, try and match their orientation. It looks like this. So they have 8mm, 35mm, and 13mm. I guess my wish for studs is going to be coming true. I'm just going to start my way around. I don't need to remove the power supply. That screw for the power supplies, so that screw's an 8mm. Okay, all the 8mm screws are black, so that's very nice, actually. The remaining 3 screws are silver, but one should be very clearly different. I mean, 2 35mm and one 13mm. That will be very clearly like, alright. Ooh, boy, that one's on tight. Okay. There. Kind of like that. See if I can get 2 of them in here. I don't had a hard enough time getting one. It'll just have to stay propped open. Okay, this shielding piece should come off. Oh, I missed a black screw right here. Yes, I did. Okay. Is my counting right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, I did miss this one. Voila. Ooh, man, look at that. A thick ribbon cable. Put that over there. So the strap can further come off. Oh, okay, that was easy. So they completely removed the strap. I don't necessarily see a reason to. This connector needs to come off. Looks like a power supply cable. Or like a typical power supply cable. Yeah. Like, this is a very familiar looking connector. I don't think I've ever seen one on a console. Okay, this connector... like a pinch release or something? How do I work this? Grab the base of the interconnector with your fingers, depress each side of the connector. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it, and they're saying that some versions have a locking tab, which mine definitely does. It has this little tab right here in the middle. I'm like, this doesn't look like something I would use for... Yeah, okay, that's better. It has this little tab right here. That's what mine has. Apparently some have like a... you pinch the side of the connector and it pops out. Mine has this. Okay, 2 more screws for the power supply. Oh no, there's technically 3 more screws. There's one right here, but they want me to do the ones on this side first. T8. Might have to grab another pill case. I didn't expect it to be... Oh, Jesus. Studs. And then I should be able to actually separate everything. Perfect. I don't know why they're not having me undo that screw. I'm gonna look again just to make sure I didn't miss a step. Because this screw for the power supply is still in, and I mean, it is entirely possible that it's just not included in this step. Or in these steps. Or it's in one of these, like, sub pictures. Oh no, okay, they want me to remove this one. They just showed me a picture of those two and then this one sort of separately. But they're all the same studs. Leave the 4th black screw in place. Oh, this one right here. Okay. Now I should be able to just separate this aluminum sandwich from the motherboard. Whoa! Yes, I can. Okay, I need to feed this ribbon cable through. Would you look at that? There is some putty right there. I'm going to want to take care of all this putty before I start. Or before I put it back together, but for now I'm not going to worry about it. Unless it's in the way. I'm going to be reforming it. So there's enemy number 1, but I need to get it separated from its aluminum housing. There's no way I'd be able to heat this damn thing up if it was still connected. Okay, so on the iFixit one, there's like a cage around this. This is a 2024 revision model, so it looks like if they did not attach this cage, I mean, you can even see the ring of solder joints for this like metal shielding. Okay, this is going to be the APU, which it is not a typical X clamp, but I'm gonna want to treat it as such, as a normal CPU mounting. As far as loosening it, I just have to do it a little bit at a time and tightening it a little bit at a time. Okay. Oh, it even has the manufacturing date on this X clamp. It's not really even an X clamp anymore, but I mean, I guess technically it's more of a heatsink, like a mounting bracket. The 18th of June, which was about a week ago, actually. 2 years. Happy 2-year birthday, Xbox. You're getting a new HDMI port. Now that should be all that's holding this thing down. I gotta just very carefully just sort of a lot. I think it's just being held down by thermal putty, really. Ooh, just sort of the. Ooh, I'm glad I'm changing that thermal paste. I mean, after only 2 years. Wow. The putty looks good, but the thermal paste has just completely edged its way out. I'm gonna end up putting a phase change thermal pad in there. Um, I'll do all that later. I really want to get this HDMI port in. Yeah. One thing at a time. If I keep trying to do everything at once here, I'm just gonna fail. What would be the best way to hold this board? Thankfully, this board is fairly light. Doesn't have all that aluminum on it. I'm just trying to find the best place I can clamp my vise to. That's not going to be... I don't necessarily want to put pressure on this metal piece, because I don't want to deform it. Because I'm going to want to have the board like this. And I technically don't really even need to mount it on anything. I could just have it like that. I'd like to keep it off sort of the ground, so to speak. Just so that I don't have to deal with heat being dissipated. I guess I should I might be able to do this corner right here. Is that enough to hold it up? Yeah, I think that will do okay. I'm just gonna have to be a little careful. I'm more worried about removing it than I am putting it on. Putting it on will be a lot easier. Let me get my tools ready here. Removal should just be as easy as heat gunning the whole thing, just from the top. This board's a lot thinner than I was expecting this to be. I thought this would be like just one hell of a chunker of a board, but it actually isn't that bad. Ample flux. I need to get my fume extractor in place. Get it untangled from my mess of cables. And since I don't care about this port, I don't care if I melt it. I'm going to start at a pretty high temp. The only thing I need to be careful with is not pulling up any traces. taking a lot more heat than I was. Well, I knew I was going to take a lot of heat. Well, that was difficult. But it looks like it came off okay. I'm heating the board back up so I can get my solder sucker to get these pieces off. Or get the solder on the through holes out. But mainly I'm just keeping the board warm. Because those ground pads did not mess around. Holy. Yeah, I can try sopping up some of this older flux. A lot easier to get off when it's warm. Make sure I don't accidentally scoop up that little resistor that's right there. Come on, solder sucker. I need you. Oh boy. Alright. I think I got it. The only thing I need to do now is just brush across all the pads with some solder wick, and I think I'm actually pretty good. Oops. For the hottest I can on my iron. Ooh, boy. Alright, I'm gonna inspect it, see if I did any damage. I don't think I did. I think it all came off very nicely. Do want to try and get off all this old flux, though. That was a trial. Wow, okay. I overestimated the board, and then I underestimated the board, which led to me heating it for a shitload of time. Ooh, I left a big old blob here. A little bit of solder went into that hole. Hopefully that won't be a problem. If it is, I know how to get rid of it. I'll just take a lot of heating again. Alright, I want to get this board, just let it cool down. I was pumping a lot of heat into it. And the culprit. Garbage. Wow, this board cooled down very quickly. Just gonna saturate it in rubbing alcohol because that's how flux will dissolve. And then kind of the general idea is since I have all the old solder off, for the most part, I should just be able to drop in the new port and then just hand solder the thing in. Maybe a little easier said than done, considering how much it took just to get it off. But I'm gonna have faith. I do want to inspect might work under a microscope just to see how the desoldering looked. Looks fine from what I can see up here. I didn't pull out any traces. All the pads are still there. There's no damage that I can tell. All right, let's have a look-see. All the main pads look fine. The through holes, yeah, that one still has a little bit of solder in it. I don't think that will matter. That one does as well. Those are deep vias. I mean, looks all right. Okay. I might do the installation underneath my stereo microscope. I think that's just going to be the easiest for me. So let me grab the new port. This port won't fit. This isn't a Series X port. Looking at it, it is way too small. Ugh, what the heck? What did I get shipped? Yeah, this port's completely different. God damn it. AliExpress. I couldn't compare the ports because I didn't have the console part. This is a 44 HDH. And I need a A333E. Motherfucker. Well, something, something, something. I'm gonna see if I can get, or how different the Xbox Series S port is. If I can do a modification on it for it to work. Don't you know it? They look very similar. The only thing that's different is the Series S or the Series X don't have these little flaps on it. But I might be able to break those off. I'm not waiting another 2 weeks for an HDMI port to come. I wonder what I did end up getting. HDMI ports. I wonder if it's for like an Xbox One. An Xbox One X. I very specifically got the Series X, but doesn't mean they didn't mess up grabbing the shit. So on paper, this should work. It looks like I'll inspect it a little closer before I actually go installing it, but I think these are very similar in mounting profile, which is kind of the most important part. I just have to fatigue off these little like pieces of flared metal. I don't think I can clip them off. That might be a little too much for my edge snips. Let's see if I had my older ones kicking around that I don't really care if they get dulled up even more. This is kind of hardy metal. Because the pinout for the HDMI should be exactly the same. That I'm not worried about. And the mounting profile, at least from the outside, looked similar. I wonder if it's in my toolbox or something. It is. My old edge cutters. There we go. That works beautifully. And I don't care if these things get dulled. Just put a little more unga bunga into it. There, fatiguing that off took a lot more effort than I was expecting. I mean, this whole project's taken a lot more effort than I was expecting. I knew it would be difficult, but goodness gracious. Okay, this is the bad HDMI port. This is the Xbox Series S HDMI port. It's a little shorter in profile. I mean, the wings on the side, so it might sit a little differently. The mounting profile looks the same though. I wonder if it'll fit. I do have big fucking solder blobs on this thing, so I might have to actually get rid of those first. This was one I took off of a Series S. Or the first replacement I put on a Series S, and then I had to end up taking it off. Okay, board. But I know this HDMI port's still good. Every time I throw away my wick, I always need it again. I know the port's good. I think it was just my mounting practice was a little off. I mean, I didn't expect the HDMI ports to be so fickle when it comes to being mounted. Like, you need to get them perfect, period. Or maybe just that Series S I worked on just had some quirks. Not really sure to this day. Okay, and that should get rid of the extra solder that's on the legs of this HDMI port. I do kind of want to brush it off with and just try and get as much of my, not only my old flux, but the flux I literally just applied off of it. And then hopefully, I have no reason to really believe this won't work. All the profiles seem to line up perfectly. It's just the port itself looks a little different. I don't think that really will matter much. If it does matter, I will order new ports, but... Hmm. I think this will work. I need to look it under my stereoscope. Well, actually, I'll look it under my digital scope. I kind of expected it to take just maybe a little more convincing to actually put it on, but, I mean, it just sort of slotted on just fine. But I'm going to want to do this actual solder work under my stereoscope. The most important part, of course, is I just need to make sure all of the pins are resting nice and flush against the board. Let me bring that in front of me. The feed on my camera. Or let me bring it up a little bigger on my secondary monitor. Here we go. Yeah, and look at that. They're resting nicely on it. I mean, I don't think the metal I fatigued off will matter. I don't think the fins will matter. Looks like it's resting on there pretty good. Yeah, that is resting on there nicely. All of the pins are lined up. It's this. It should be the same. It's a very standardized HDMI pinout. It would be illogical for Microsoft to run a different pinout. Cool. I didn't expect to use this. HDMI port so quickly. Okay, so now to try and put it in my doohickey, I gotta kind of... I wish I had a better mount that I could put this onto for my microscope, but I'm gonna have to sort of prop it up with a pair of helping hands. And I might be able to also put my digital microscope on this, but I'll deal with that here in a second. It would be easier for me to sort of solder in this direction. That's sitting on there very nicely. I need to get this other end of the ribbon cable off, lest I accidentally melt it. Oh. There we go. The number 1 SoC goes straight into the motherboard for future reference. Should be fairly obvious. Dunk my fingernail into the thermal putty. So if I go like this should give me a good angle. So now I need my helping hands. Try and prop the board up. That should work. And sort of the best viewing angle I can get on this without sort of getting in my way. Would be probably something like this. And I guess having additional light on it will be very handy. Look at that. Would a trinocular microscope be better? Yes. Yes, it would. What did I hear just drop? Oh. A plastic peg. For what, I wonder? I don't know. Hmm. I'll have to keep that in mind when I'm sort of putting this thing back together, where that little peg would have come from. Okay. adjusting two microscopes at once. I'm doing the contact pins first because they're the most important. I'll do the mounting legs last. Just gonna make sure I don't accidentally hit anything with both my iron or my hand. Why does my view look really weird in my microscope? Okay. I'll deal with that bridge a little later. I'm just more interested in just getting it on the board first. Having just a bunch of different contact points holding it on. Just need to keep reminding myself that I don't have the mounting pegs in. So I can't really be too hard on this port right now. I'm not gonna go like cranking on it or anything, but just... I think I got it. Now I can see if I can work on these mounting pegs. I might have to heat up the board a little on the bottom in order to get enough heat on these pegs, because they are toughies. But I will do what I can. Even if I can just get them started, that'd be a lot. That'd be some peace of mind. I do not think that did that. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to heat up the board a little, just to sort of help me yank some solder through the vias. And then I'll check my solder work on my HDMI port. I think it went well. This is becoming quite the beast. And I think all that black stuff coming off the port, I think it was sort of... Was I melting the back of the port just a little? A little hard to say with all the flux. But I'm able to get solder on it, it's just not being pulled through. So let's get everything going, and then I'll get it all nice and cleaned. Even in its current state, I'm fairly confident it won't move. But I don't want to be mostly confident, I want to be fully confident. get any solder on this front pin. Currently my camera is in the way. Oh, I don't even have my microscope feed on. Okay, never mind. Oh, don't want that. I wanted to put in some solder on this side. Alright, through all that trial and tribulation, I think I did it. And I want to make sure it is very, very, very clean, but I think I got it. Alright, now I will actually turn on my camera feed. Ooh, and odd. Look at the pins. See if they're on there pretty good. I'll do continuity testing, and of course I still have to clean the board off, but it looks like those are on. These mounting pegs, I mean, I heated them up pretty good. Probably a little bit of excess solder on them, but shouldn't harm anything, as long as they're mounted. Which I think they are. Some better than others, like I think I still see a little bit of the via right there in the back. That one's really good, this back leg. I have no qualms about it. I'm thinking the peg belonged to this piece right here. I might have to double check that to see if there was a peg there. I think I ended up breaking it off. I mean, nothing a little bit of super glue can't fix. I didn't expect it to be that brittle, or even if it was even there to begin with. It matches the diameter, but the break is sort of at an angle, where that is more flush. I'll check back my footage to see if there was a peg there. I think that's like the only thing I can think of. I'm just letting the board cool down a little before I start scrubbing it. I think while I wait for it to cool down, I can just check out my footage, see if I spot this peg. No, it doesn't look like anything stuck out from there. Huh, so I don't know where this plastic peg came from. No clue whatsoever. I don't think it came off the old port. I mean, I can grab it again, but there was no pegs that thick. Hmm. Alright, time for a really good scrub-a-dub-dub. Then I'll do a continuity testing with my sort of makeshift HDMI tester. And then I don't think there's really a good put it together enough to make it test. I think I pretty much have to fully assemble this entire thing. Like, I don't know if it will start without a disk drive. I'm not all too interested in trying to short the front connectors. Try and see if I can get it to work that way. So I'm just gonna have to basically just reassemble this whole thing. I still can't believe the thermal paste looks like that, only after 2 years. Yeah, I will say, these pins in the back look very well mounted. At least from what I can tell, just from eye level. That's not to toot my own horn. I'm having all that experience on that Xbox Series S seems to help. There. Got my microscope feet on it, and that looks a lot better. I'm going to try and do a tilt, see if I can see what kind of damage I did. I think I did melt a little bit of that plastic. I did. That's what all that black stuff was coming from. But look at those pins. Woo, baby, those look great. I've never seen a resistor that looks like that, though. Has like a red dot on it. I thought that was like a little bit of gunk, but... odd. Very odd. But I am very pleased with that. I mean, I think the HDMI port's mounted okay. Yeah, it looks like at least these back legs are on there pretty good, and I mean... I don't know how well it will fit in the shell. I mean, even just looking at the sort of flared ends, they don't stick as far down as the... I mean, even the expansion card next to it, but I think those are supposed to pretty much go all the way down. They don't touch anything, so they're not... I don't think they're necessary for, like, grounding or something. I think they're just meant to be like a dust guard to keep shit from falling into the port or going around these like flared edges into the actual console itself. These little filters look red in my microscope. They're not red in eye level, I don't think. But I didn't get anywhere near them, so they should be fine. I'm very pleased with that. So let me grab my makeshift HDMI tester. Which is just basically a Amazon Basic HDMI cable that broke on one end, and then I just fed all the pins into a board. Okay, I am in. This will be a little jank. Always kind of is. So what I want to do is not just test the pins, but the solder joints. Grab my probes. I'm gonna have to figure out the best way to do this here. I might need to shift everything over. I have enough room for both my hands. Okay. Putting it on continuity. Microscope's tied in tightly. I'm going to try and go underneath the pins. To sort of hit the solder joint, not so much on the pins themselves. And then check the neighbor, make sure that they're good. Not shorting somewhere, or not bridging somewhere that I can't see. Okay, good. I'm pretty sure these center ones are ground, so they will short against that one. Which is fine, I just want to make sure they don't short with their neighbor. Or to ground. Alright, it all checks out. So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and clean. It's still a little wet from my rubbing alcohol, which is kind of strange. It's not... I mean, I blasted quite a bit of rubbing alcohol on there, so it's not really too surprising that some of it remained. It is 91%, so it shouldn't, like, immediately evaporate. It's not 99, but I do want to make sure it's just nice and thoroughly cleaned, because the rubbing alcohol helps dissolve that flux. Just going to add a little more. I'm going to add a little bit to the end of this HDMI cable. That's part of my tester, and just sort of try and clean out the port if there's any of that flux that got on these pins. Because flux kind of gets everywhere, which is kind of good, but a little inconvenient. I'm still really mad. I need to check my AliExpress order. I might have to file for a refund. These are not Xbox Series X HDMI ports. Unless this is like a revision of the Xbox board. I'll have to do some just additional research. Because maybe they did change HDMI ports on a board level revision, but I can't imagine they did that big of a revision to change the port that significantly. I mean, they could have pushed the traces up, but I don't know, it just seems weird. Weird to me. I might maybe put a little bit of Kapton tape on the top of this. I'll pass. The metal's kind of sticking up a little, but it shouldn't touch anything, I don't think. Nothing of consequence. It's not like it's going to short. It's a ground. It's just a shielding. Okay, I'm fairly confident that that will work. So now I need to start moving on to getting the thermal paste off for a thermal pad, reballing up all of this thermal putty, putting it back on. And though I am a little disappointed I couldn't get an actual Series X HDMI port on, because the HDMI ports I have are not the Series X ports. A Series S port with just a tiny bit of modification seemed to work just fine. I have no reason to believe it won't. Yeah, I mean, it does create kind of sharp metal. I don't think that will matter anything. I don't want to file it down and risk putting metal shavings. Okay, I'm pretty confident with that though. So, let's see what's going on back here. Yeah, that paste is gone. That's amazing. Wipes off easy enough, thankfully. I mean, I don't really remember how often I repaste my PC. 2 years, I mean? I repasted it recently. I think I repasted it after a year. I'm not going to try and get all this off. I don't really need to, and I don't want to risk knocking off one of these filters. It's just not worth it. But I mean, I did my PC after a year. I run it all the time. I should probably repaste it more often. It's kind of good to see this Xbox was being used. I mean, if my camera feed wasn't in the way. Sure, that is nice and clean, because that is the brains of the operation. I do not want it getting warm. Too warm. So I do have a face change thermal pad that I'll try and put on. Get some gloves on. That'll be the end of this pad, because it's going to have kind of an unusable amount left. Perfect. Now the fun part is trying to get it off. Okay, I think that will do it. Covering the entire die, I added just a tiny bit of, a little bit of extra on the little pits that were there. Let me get the heat sink cleaned off on this end. This I can be a little more liberal on when it comes to cleaning, because I don't have to worry about knocking off components. Um, I'll keep the motherboard in my lap. Ooh. That's hard and chunky. Okay, the thermal sort of sandwiches on like that. Grab all this putty. Seems like it's all in good shape. It's not like really dry Play-Doh. It's not just crumbling apart. It is reforming. Actually, I'm technically doing the wrong ones, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it looks like it's all about the same consistency. Just all of the RAM chips. Maybe the next time I get this thing opened, I'll replace all this putty. But I don't expect on opening it for quite some time. Unless I have problems with the HDMI port, which in that case, I mean, I'm not going to replace the putty, but... Now, the thermal putty technically stretched all the way across these empty pads. I will continue to do so, because, I mean, no reason, but there's really, I don't think it matters. And this stuff's still really sticky. It's a good thing. Okay, I think it's just mostly covering those chips. I don't know how much those capacitors matter to be covered, but I mean, just based on the profile, it is aligned with the chips. Okay, so let me get this at least rested on. Quick little press. Okay, let me get the iFixit guide back up and I'll put the X clamp back on. Now, if memory serves, I think it was like this, but I'm gonna want to double check. Just what was the orientation I had when I took it off? Okay, it was like this. The date was right there. Perfect. Okay, so now it's going to be getting it back on nice and snug. rest of these thermal pads, or thermal putty, I should say. I'm glad they didn't use pads. I feel like putty is a lot easier to work with. A little more forgiving when it comes to thicknesses, at least from what I can tell. Cooler for the expansion card, the SSD. Maybe when SSDs go down in price again, slap a 4 terabyte in this big old monster. I'm gonna roll this into a ball because it looks like that's what they did at the factory. Just plopped it right there. I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to do this one. It's interesting that those are left empty. It's like this is intentionally missing components. Again, I'm going to make the fairly bold assumption that those empty pads really don't need the additional cooling. But I will just make sure there's putty there just in case. Okay, done with putty. I can take off my gloves. Okay, this end went into the right here, clip in. And we get this mother on. Still need to keep an eye out for where this plastic peg came from. I don't think I broke it off. Like, that's a hell of a break if I did. I'm just checking iFixit's motherboard to see if there's any, like... Ah, that. There's nothing obvious. Okay. Because the only pegs I've seen are metal. And that is not a metal peg. That's a plastic peg. But then this ribbon cable gets fed through. And give it a mush for all that thermal putty. All right, let's now work in reverse. So I got the X clamp on. So I think it's the like all the power supply screws. These three big uns. So there's one right here. And then it will be these two, I think. Yes. I see my little pry tool I use for putty. I should probably get it cleaned off and put aside. I'll probably get a new paper towel as well. Oh, I see some plastic pegs on the bottom of this power cord. But those are still there. It was sitting in my lap, so it must have come off just recently. Or somewhere during this disassembly. Could have been when I opened up that clasp for the power cable. It seems to kind of be the only thing I can think of. Because I kind of opened it kind of hard, but I mean, it's kind of what it wanted. Because both of those pegs are still there. It doesn't look like there's a third peg. These didn't have pegs in them. This doesn't have a peg in it. So I don't know exactly where it would have come from. Looks like my HDMI still looks good. Okay, so they want me to plug in this ribbon cable. Okay. Power cable. I do need to put the strap back on, but I'm gonna wait until I get this plate on. Yeah, I was thinking maybe it would be one of these, like a plastic rivet or something, but I have no idea where it came from. I don't necessarily like that, but it goes like this. Okay, so now I got the actual shitload. So there's two 35 millimeters. For all these. Here's the one 13 millimeter. I'm just gonna, it's obvious because there's only one of them, but 13 millimeter, yep. So the 13 millimeter goes up here. The 33 millimeters go right here. These were on here pretty good, so I'll snug them. Then just the rest of these black screws. there was going to be a plastic peg. Surely it would be somewhere, but I have no idea where. This is so strange. Kind of bothers me, really. All right. So the strap goes on a very specific way. I think it goes like this. Connects right here. Which end? Okay, it looks like it's this end. Goes like that. Okay. Then I don't see why I can't really clamp this on right now. I kind of wonder what the point of this is. It doesn't really seem to offer much, like... Oh, it's vibration. I think it's all vibration control. Okay. That somewhat makes more sense. Okay. Let me get the front panel, or this little front panel on. I can probably get this in here. Like, the only place I could see an alignment peg would be on that sort of power supply in, but I mean, I can't, there's nothing obvious. And I really wasn't that hard on this console. Been very gentle with it. It, I'm wondering if it's maybe a peg that's inside the case that maybe hung on to the main motherboard assembly, and then when I started manipulating it, it just tumbled out. Because for the HDMI to break, it is entirely possible this thing took a fall. Perhaps. There's not really any evidence to suggest that, but other than the HDMI port being sort of mangled up. That's about the only theory I got. I can see if there's anything obvious on the case before I put it on all together. Okay, good. That screw post was really wanting to cross thread on me. There's this little tiny, like, plate here. And at least all the, yeah, like I said, all the important alignment pegs are metal. Oh, why did I put it in its own one? Okay. me see how mine went in. Okay, because I was trying to follow the memory of this. Maybe it did twist a little. It seems like it likes resting like this, so I think I should just follow the memory of it. So we got the 2, and then the really, really, really long lad. So the really long lad goes right here, right? The 135mm screw, yes. Oh, there's a strap attachment back here to get it out of the way. There we go. I noticed it was covering the ribbon cable port. I'm like, that's not right. Alright, that is a Series X sandwich, and I mean, that HDMI port looks like it belongs there. Okay, I think I'm ready to slide this thing back in. Joyous occasion. I want to look around in the case. I don't see anything too terribly obvious. There's no aha, there it is. Because the 3 main alignment pegs are all intact on the bottom. I don't see anything snapped. Okay, well, I guess I can't necessarily do anything about that, so let's see. How does this go? Well, okay, it would be ports backwards. And since the ports are on the bottom of the console, it would fit in like this. Oh, take the fan out. I just put it in there to hold it in place, or to keep it sort of out of the way. Okay, that seemed to clump in pretty nicely. And just the way everything's oriented, that seems correct. Okay, there are the T8 chassis screws, the green ones that go in the back. Now I'm just going to be working backwards. So they are in a triangle pattern, so it goes right here. That helped shift everything down a little too. Okay. So now it's going to be attaching the two ribbon cables. So this one's a latch, so it should, I don't know if it'll automatically clip into place or if I have to sort of shove it. Oh, fuck, I forgot that that one had a weak pull tab. There it is. The adhesive on this pull tab just sort of came free. I noticed that when I took it out originally. I'm thinking that's probably not gonna ever hold. I don't think I ever want to put like super glue or anything on it. And since this one was a friction pole, I should just be able to slot it in. There. Hopefully this will, I don't want it to fall off again. But I know it will. Okay, optical drive next. Okay, it can really only go in one way. Do I put the bracket in? No, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. Put the cables in. And then there's the anti-vibration bracket, which kind of has a trick to it, apparently, going in. This way? Yeah. So I gotta make sure it's clamping both sides. It doesn't really feel right. Maybe it is. It feels like it's getting kind of caught over here. It's not going as down as it should. Or maybe it is down all the way, and it might be. It just feels like it wants to kind of sink in a little more. But it looks like it's on all the way, so... Oh, there it goes. That's better. Like, clipped on. And then that's bumping up against a peg. Or a screw post. Okay, I think that's good. Is there any screw associated with it? No, there's one more screw on the bottom. A black screw? Just one? Oh no, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, so there are screws for this plate. So it goes right up here. And then thread it in, so that tells me it's in all the way. Perfect. I can put the base back on. I have a feeling it goes something like this. It looks somewhat symmetrical, but I think the locking tab might actually be right here. Because it had, this is definitely the different part. has the biggest gap right down here, so I think I might be right. Okay, turned and heard it click. Fan goes in next. I think my favorite part. Slides in like that. I have the 3 screws for the fan. I do kind of remember this one because it's going to be the big fat one in the middle. And then the 2 on the sides. I'm kind of happy this used entirely T8 screws. That makes things a lot easier. Okay, I'm not going to put on the back plate, but I am finally ready to test. Ooh. Okay. I'm very confident it will work. I just gotta find where I put my... Oh, my capture card is in my other Xbox. Right. Because I was using that as a control. HDMI plugged in. Power plugged in. Let me get my capture card. I'm going to turn it off because this is whomever owned it before wasn't able to wipe their profile, and I mean, it was also parental locked. Let me change my display so I can see it on my monitor in front of me. Okay. Fan turned on when I put it to power, so moment of truth. Hi, Jessica.
Home window.
Oh,
Recently
I turned
used.
off the or turned
Section
on the
1 of
wrong
3
one.
group.
That
Ori
turned on
and the
immediately.
Blind Forest.
Look at that.
Definitive Edition. Button. 1 of 9.
Odd that the this little selector box is a little off.
Recently, my
Oh,
games
that's probably the narrator.
settings.
Yeah, I'm guessing
Quick
that's narrator. Hang on, let me turn that off.
Dialogue. What do you want to do? Exiting narrator.
Look at that. Okay, I said I would disable it. I'll just censor it a little. Let me get enough room in front of it so I can put in a disc. I'm like butting up against my microscopes. Oh, did I bump the HDMI cable? Okay, there it is again. Kinda. So I have this problem with the Series S that I've done HDMI port replacement on, where it's just very unstable. So I don't know what that's about, but I mean, I'm also not going to be really touching the HDMI port, so that shouldn't be an issue. It's just one of those issues. It's annoying, but in real terms, it's somewhat benign. Ori and the Blind Forest turns on just fine. I hear audio. Well, I see audio coming out of it. Nice. For this game, you need to be online. Yeah, because I removed it, so it needs to verify the DRM. But I should be able to play the disc offline. That's not a problem. Well, nice. I mean, turn it off. I'll have to factory reset it. And I really don't think there's anything I can do about sort of the jiggling of the HDMI port cutting feed. I don't know what that is, but it seems to be very consistent with any Xbox that I work on. But I mean, I've only ever changed HDMI ports on consoles that have bad HDMI ports. So who's to say it wasn't also a fault of whatever broke the HDMI port? Oh, I put this on wrong. Okay, it needs to sort of slide on. Any of these alignment pegs broken? I see no evidence. So I don't know where that plastic came from, but... Oh, I see a broken clip, though. That clip down here snapped off. So I'm wondering if this did maybe take a fall, it just wears it really nicely. I think these are both the same screws. Nice. HDMI port lines up really good. It doesn't look odd. Let me put it on its side. I think it might test a little better that way. And they really made this Xbox kind of confusing on what orientation you can have it. You can have it either way, but I would feel like if it's laying down like this, it would have a harder time ejecting heat than it would if it was upright. But if it was upright, that would put a little more stress on the hard drive, or on the disk drive. And of course, the problems are following the HDMI cables I do test for these consoles. It's possible it's just these HDMI cables are worn. I can maybe, like, I've even grabbed like a fairly new switch cable and it does the same thing. Let's turn it on again. But kind of what I'm talking about is when I get to the main menu of it. Hello, Jessica. Is when I do that, it cuts out. I'm fairly certain. I can't imagine it's my doing when I am installing these ports. So it truly strikes me as an HDMI cable problem, not a port problem. But I mean, I can't really replicate this on my good Xbox. But then you also have to keep in mind that, well, you're not going to be fucking with the HDMI cable while the thing is running. I mean, if a pet bumps it, that's one thing. Like, even if I travel a little further up the cable, it's not I don't think it's the cable. I think it's just rocking it back and forth on the port. So This was also the symptom that I was experiencing with that HDMI port specifically on the Xbox Series S. It could just be a cheap port. Whatever part it was, maybe it's just not a very good reproduction. I doubt. I mean, it could be the same manufacturer that Microsoft used. I don't know exactly how these parts are sort of gained or how these parts are acquired by these Chinese sellers, but I mean, regardless, it is in much better shape than what it was, and I mean, by golly, it's damn near usable. I mean, it is usable. I'll have no problems playing. I mean, I have a few games lined up. I want to play the Modern Warfare remake. I have Wild Hearts that I wanted to try out. It's supposed to be like a Monster Hunter type game, so I'm very excited. So, problem. I can't factory reset this thing without a pin. I know this thing had parental controls, so it won't let me, but So what I think I need to do is actually run OSU1 offline uploader or the offline updater and just completely bypass everything. And if AI is correct, I should be able to do that. So I just downloaded the OSU1 package. I'm going to extract it. In the meantime, I need to get into... There's a troubleshooting menu that you can get into on the Xbox. If you hold the controller pairing button and the eject button at the same time, I mean, this will not be the easiest thing to do, but it's these two buttons right here. Hold bind, eject, power. I should have probably turned on controller chimes. Oh, I might have to actually like cold boot this thing because the quick boot is not going to work. Plug that. Make sure it's nice and drained. Okay, let's try this again. Now it's wanting me to listen for chimes, but I can't hear chimes. Because the chimes have been turned off. I mean, I can always turn the chimes back on. I might be able to without needing parental controls. It does seem to be working because I'm not seeing a display. And I'll let go. It's been a little bit of time. It's just booting normally. I'm still getting my payload ready for OS1 or the OSU1 payload. Copying it to an SD card. So if this boots normally, I'm going to see if I can turn the chimes back on because I kind of need audio indicators. I think that's just going to help me a little better. I mean, yeah, it's just taking its sweet time. I don't know if it's going into troubleshooting or what's going on there. Okay, no, it didn't work. So let me see if I can turn on the system chimes. There's like 5 profiles on this Xbox. This thing was definitely passed around the family. Well, you've come to a one-owner household. I hope your experience is going to be a little better. Personalization, volume and audio output, additional options. power chime on. Okay, let's try it. Yep, there it goes. So now I'm gonna need to cold boot it again. Because that seemed to work. Like holding down the eject and the sync pairing button did sort of delay the booting. Okay. So I need to wait until I hear a second chime. While holding both, press power. I didn't hear a chime. I should hear 2 power chimes. Oh, there it goes. Okay, perfect. So now I am in the actual proper troubleshooting menu. OSU1 has been put onto an SD card. Actually, do I need OSU1? Can I just reset from right here? If it prompts a pin, I'm going to be a little pissed, but we'll see. It might. Oh, or maybe not. Because there's no problems with this Xbox. It was able to update just fine. It just has a parental code that's preventing me from actually doing anything. Alright, well, I guess this might take a little bit, so I'm just going to let it sit. And just like that, got it going on my phone, and it looks like it's connecting to the Xbox. And that factory reset seemed to have stuck. I mean, I don't know exactly how much initialization it's going to do. I just did that all through my phone. No thanks. Next. Oh yes, tell me more. No thanks. Take me home. Perfect. A brand new and unrestricted Xbox. And in honor of the previous profile, I'm going to name it Jessica. Jessica the Xbox. Perfect. So this Xbox is working. The jiggling HDMI cable, cutting it out, that might just be a port problem. I really have a hard time believing it was due to my install. It might just be a bad port. Or just a really low quality port. Or something. I don't know. Anyway, problem solved. I have a usable Xbox.